Hi, I'm Laura McCracken. I'm here in the lovely Marlene Dietrich bar in Berlin at the Merchant Payment Ecosystems. And I'm lucky enough to have David Parker, the CEO and founder of Polymath Consulting, to help me to dispel one of my 10 myths.
So which one have you got for me?
Well, I'm going to give you a tough one because this is quite hotly debated. So this one is: European consumers will never embrace super apps as they have in the East.
Okay, but that's an interesting statement. The first question has to be, of course, is what's a super app? Do you mean, let's say, an app that has lots of different financial services on it, or an app that has financial services with some identity, or maybe financial services with a shopping or with communication? What would you define as a super app?
Well, interesting that you keep mentioning financial services.
Well, not only because it starts there.
Yeah, it does. In my definition, it starts with a mobile wallet. So you have to have a mobile wallet. It's a key ingredient. Then on top of that, you layer on some level of digital identity. On top of that, you've got some ability to connect to either other consumers, other people, businesses.
You've gone far enough already, because nowhere in Europe are we getting anywhere close to having a digital identity that is government-backed that can actually be put onto an app.
How about a verifiable wallet?
Yes, but we're not going to get that really in Europe that quickly come off it. So therefore, you could argue the regulators are not going to be in a position to enable a super app. Now, let's just strip that bit away for a second, the digital identity, because I do think I agree with you, it's really important. Mm-hmm. But if we actually talk about a wallet, which has different financial services around it and communication to third parties, okay? And then I would say some sort of e-commerce shopping ability as well. Okay?
Mini apps.
Mini apps.
And that doesn't have to be shopping. It could be dating or,
Okay, right. So if we agree that's a super app, the next thing, one of the things we talked about there was communication. Now in Europe today, there are only 3 or 4 communication apps people tend to use, I'd argue. Us old fogies still might have Skype. I know most of them don't now. We've got Telegram, if you've maybe got Russian connections. WhatsApp, Facebook, Apple, FaceTime, and that's about it. So what you're really saying is one of those 5, in order to create a super app, under your definition, you've got to have a wallet and one of those 5.
Not necessarily. You could start with something like a Vips or a Swish, and then layer on different forms.
But as of today, the communication apps are only those 5 that exist. So if we're looking at a super app today that would come about in the next couple of years, it's likely to only be one of those 5. So then you've got to say, do you see one of those 5 adding the financial wallet onto it and everything else? And I actually, not in the way that you have in Asia today, with a WeChat or an Alipay, you know what I mean? It's not the same way. I think we will get apps that deliver multiple capabilities, but as you and I have just defined it, is that a super app? I'm not sure we'll get there.
Well, now, I got to make you play the game like everyone else has played it, and that is, I'm going to narrow you down to 3 choices. The myth is either true, false, or it's complicated. And I'm hearing from you, it's complicated?
Well, it's complicated because of the definition of what a super app is.
Right.
But I would argue it's true in that, given what we've seen as the current market environment, I would say it is highly unlikely we will see a single super app come around in Europe the same way we have in Asia, because of the communication channels that are available, the digital identity we talked about there. So we will see super financial services app. If you look at a Curve these days, a Revolut, these are all trying to become your super financial services app.
Right.
But is Curve suddenly going to do communication with you? I don't think so.
Maybe not communication, but maybe connectivity, connecting consumers
I don't think so, no.
Through chat.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm going to say it's true that you won't, because of where the market is and the dynamics in Europe today.
And I think that you've hit the nail on the head, and that we have to make the definition ourselves. So we can create some sort of consolidation and some sort of super app if we define it differently. Would you agree with that?
And I think the definition of what we will get in Europe is super financial services apps.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, or we may get other super apps that encompass 4 or 5 different areas together, and you could say, well, that's not just a single app for a single thing. You know, will my Waze driving app be able to pay for my car parking? Potentially, because it knows I'm in the car park. It puts a wallet behind it, I fund. Now, is that a super app? Not really, but is it a super driving app? Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at mini super apps in Europe rather than one all-encompassing.
I'll tell you the kind of super app I want. I want a niche super app. Like, I have a challenge. I don't have a car, as you know. So I have Uber, I have Bolt, I have lots of different ride-hailing apps. And I end up having to use 2 or 3 different phones to try and find the quickest one. Wouldn't it be cool if we had a super app that actually combined?
It does, called City Mapper.
City Mapper.
It does.
Will they actually hail it for me, the quickest
Yes.
one? Really?
Yes.
So we already have a niche super app.
Correct. You have that, but that's what I mean by a super app, but it's around transportation.
Yeah.
It's not a all-in-one app that covers everything. And that's what I mean by we will have mini super apps covering off needs.
Yes.
We won't have that all-encompassing Asian super.
Like the WeChat.
Well, no,
Pay
take
or the
Grab in
Alipay.
Asia. Take Grab in Asia that does absolutely everything for you, your wallet and everything. That's not where we're going to be.
Yeah. I hear you. I think that there's a huge opportunity for us. I think you and I should go into business together and map it out, figure out which mini super apps we should come up with.
All we've got to do is go and buy all the mini super apps and smash them together.
Okay. I don't know if we're going to buy them, but there's certainly business for us to create some deals, right?
Yeah.
Now, how do you deal with the competition? Like, how do you get the Ubers to cooperate with all of their competitors to create a super app?
Well, they don't really cooperate because effectively these other guys are becoming marketplaces.
Right.
You think about it, all they are is these days you often get marketplaces comparing the prices of multiple things. So Uber aren't. Now, you can be a Ryanair and say, well, we're not going to go onto your marketplace. That's another story.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are saying, no, we'll compete fine on that. And I think therefore, you know, and I'll come back to Curve and their launchpad. They've got all their bits on there. Revolut is doing the same thing. A lot of people these days are putting marketplaces into their apps so they can have multiple suppliers on things.
Right.
There's no real difference there. So we are ending up with apps that become super apps to service certain areas of our needs, if you know what I mean.
Yes,
as opposed to having one super app that does everything on our phone and go to it straight away.
Yeah. And then the other thing to think about, we always talk about embedded finance, you and I, right? And what about embedded commerce? So right now, you think about embedding finance within the customer journey on, say, a platform or a retailer. What about embedding commerce into a Revolut or a Klarna or
I still remember 5-6 years ago being shown TV programs where if you put your phone over it, if they had, let's say, a pint of beer on the table, that would pull up a barcode on your phone for some sort of virtual reality, and you could hit the button and order it. So it was almost like product placement in TV. Now, you know, that's embedded. You know, that's embedding commerce in your TV programs. Now, I'm not so sure about it. I still think people want the ability to browse, and so what I mean by that is, people like going to physical shops sometimes for your clothes shopping and to see stuff and touch and feel, but also you like to go physically shopping, but online to compare stuff. And so people saying, oh, we're going to embed e-commerce so that, you know, I think there will become occasions where, you know, sure, you're watching the Oscars and they say, yes, if you want the equivalent Oscar dress, click this button.
Right.
I saw that 5-10 years ago at Mobile World Congress. It never took off though. I don't really have faith in that. It's very rare that product placement is going to be that powerful. Now, when you're watching an Arsenal-Chelsea game, buy your Arsenal shirt today, possibly. But even then, you know where to go and get an Arsenal shirt from.
Yeah.
You want to Google it because you want to get the best price.
Yeah. Gotcha. Unless it's close enough. Like I might buy insurance or through my Revolut or my Monzo or
But that's just becoming a super financial services app,
you're right.
which is what I talked to you about.
That's where you started at the beginning.
I think those will happen. We will have apps that service certain areas of our need, but not all-encompassing.
Excellent. Okay.
So your statement is true.
It's going to be really interesting. Okay, it's going to be true. Got it. That's good. I was hoping for complicated, but I'm going to arm wrestle you over a glass of champagne after this video, and I'll try and get you there. But
All right,
thank
then.
you. Let's
Thank you very much.
Thank
Cheers.
you for coming out.
Much
And here's to
appreciated.
MPE.
Here's to MP. Thank you very much.